Hi there, welcome to Nonsense Whisky. My name's Vin PF, and on today's episode we're going to be covering something that you guys are definitely going to have seen or heard of, possibly even tried, and that's the Glenfiddich 18. This thing is on shelves everywhere. Maybe not the 18, might not be in your local supermarket, but the 12 definitely is. Glenfiddich are an absolute giant in the single malt world, probably especially single malts, the top selling. Definitely in 2016, not sure about 2017 or even today, but Glenlivet has been kind of making moves to get close to them. I think they did beat them one year as well, maybe 2014, but still very prevalent in the single malt world. They were probably the pioneers of worldwide single malt selling, that classic kind of tri-peaked glass bottle, really noticeable. But let's go over to the dram itself and see what we've got on top of the glass here. This is a challenge coin, doubled up as a kind of glass protector, whatever. And this is from the Scotch test dummies. This is their cask 2, which I think they've actually just sold out of. But you can pre-order cask 3 right now. If you're not sure who the Scotch test dummies are, go over and check out their channel. They do absolutely brilliant reviews, probably 2 or 3 times a week, and also live streams. But these are superb for dropping on top of your glass, keeping the aromas in while you're swirling, or maybe if you need to leave it out on the side for a long time, you can leave that to aerate still, but still retain that extra aromas. So onto the Glenfiddich 18 proper. In 2014 they made a bit of a change to their 18 and they started releasing in kind of small batches. So it'll actually say on the bottle now in small batch release and small batch reserve, sorry. And what they do is they get up to 150 casks, and we're talking ex-bourbon casks, ex-Oloroso sherry casks, and they keep them together, kind of nurture them a little bit, allegedly, for a further 3 months after the 18 years, I guess, or whatever the ages are. This is a minimum age. And that's how they do their small batches. So the batch number is on the label. It is possible you're going to get some variations between batches, but we're talking about Glenfiddich. Fluctuation is kind of minimal. If you're a huge fan of the 12, you may have noticed some fluctuations in the years. For me, for my palate, it's been fairly consistent since I started getting into it. And just like probably a great many of you, Glenfiddich was my first single malt and really brought me into this world of premium liquor, I guess is the best way of saying it. But let's get straight into the nose and see where we're at with it. Now for me, the first thing I get is this kind of typical, I call it the typical Speyside smell, this kind of fresh apples, fresh sweet apples smell. Some people don't know what I'm talking about sometimes, but it's a real telltale smell for me. Once you look into it, you'll be able to pick out a kind of average Speyside in a blind tasting, no problem. If you've seen some of the blind tastings I've done recently, you'll know what I'm talking about. Straight away I can pick out the Speysides in there, if they're kind of typical. If they're kind of fancy Speysides, then not so easy. Before we get into the palate, it is a 40% whiskey, which, is the legal minimum in the UK. For Scotch, for me it's a bit of a shame. They can produce a hell of a lot of whiskey, more than any other distillery by probably 1 million litres or so. And in fact, they're actually they're building now a new distillery that's going to be absolutely huge, and their production is just going to go through the roof. One would hope they might decide to increase the ABVs on a few of these, 43, 46%, something like that, rather than continuing to put out the 40%, but having said that, in my humble opinion, the 18 is the first expression in their core range. You've got the 12 and the 15 before, where I'm not terribly bothered about the 40%. The 12 really could do with a few extra percent, the 15 could definitely do with it. I'm not a huge fan of the 15. It's nice enough, but for me it's a bit bland. But the 18 just about survives without it. In the UK, it goes for about sort of 60 to 65 pounds, which makes it probably one of the cheapest 18-year-olds on the market, unless you go independent or something like that. But let's go on to the palate now and see where we're at with that. It's got a bit of spice to it. Nice spicy notes. That vanilla is coming through from the ex-bourbon barrels. Conversely, the sherry notes, the kind of fruity notes, are coming through from the sherry casks. These are good quality sherry casks. It's just a really nice, balanced sipping whiskey. It's not an assault on the senses. It's not smoky at all. It's very light and crisp and clean. There's some kind of oaky notes to it as well, I would say. Not loads, you've got to go looking for that. It's there in the background. But it's, like I say, it's just a really well balanced whiskey, and for 60 quid, it's not a high asking price. Unfortunately, I did have a bottle of this, but I put it in a less than perfect decanter. My wife bought me this lovely, beautiful decanter. Not this one, it's a different one I have downstairs. This is a really cheap one, this one. And I poured it into that and I left it in that, and I thought it would be nice to, when people came around, to give them, you know, a little bit of show, whatever. But I left it in there for like a year, and when I came back to it, when it was just gone half below, it was well over oxidized and basically ruined. So I had to tip it away. I couldn't drink it, it was poor. So take that as a bit of a warning. Once this is open, you know, drink it slowly. It's not so expensive that you have to keep it and hide it away. It's worth pouring for friends, pouring for special occasions, but also treat yourself once in a while, you know, once a month, whatever. Just give yourself a nice little dram of this. But don't keep it open for any length of time, because I don't, in my experience, although, you know, let's say the less than perfect seal definitely lets some oxygen in there, in my personal experience, it didn't withstand that at all, and I would be very sceptical about keeping something as delicate as this in a decanter again. That's for sure. Well, thanks for joining me for this review of the Glenfiddich 18. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe up here, watch more videos, and of course check out the description for more information and links to other whiskey channels and such like. Thank you.